Going off track is.
Going off track is taking a chance on yourself.
Following your pulse of curiosity.
It's making your own decisions.
The most wonderful adventure.
Hey friends, welcome back to Right Off Track, the podcast that dives deep into the incredible stories of people who've dared to follow their own path to success. Today, we have got a guest who's going to light a fire under all of your video making excuses. Meet Harrison Cantel, the commander-in-chief of all things video. Now, Harrison isn't just any video guru. He's working with big names like Microsoft and The Body Shop, but he also helped hundreds of everyday folks conquer their camera fears and truly shine. So whether you're camera shy or looking to boost your business through video, Harrison's got the insights you need. Now, we've all heard the excuses. Equipment is too expensive. I'm not creative. My business is too boring. Well, Harrison's here to debunk those myths and show you how video can be your game changer. From learning the ropes to staying consistent, he's got you covered. So if you're thinking, I need to get me some of that video magic, you're in the right place. Harrison's not just about video, he's also a strong advocate for mental health. So we've got to touch on the importance of being yourself and taking care of your mind while chasing your dream. Stick around. This is one of the episodes you don't want to miss. Welcome to the show, Harrison. I'm so excited to have you here.
That was a phenomenal intro. I am very grateful for that. And thank you so much. I'm super excited to chat to you. As I said, I've tuned into many episodes and I absolutely love them. So I'm just very grateful for you inviting me on.
Same. I've tuned to so much of your content because I definitely need it. In a world of content creation, video is so important, but it's there. Even I have a lot of excuses like, oh, I'm a mom, I'm running around, what am I doing? And you're like, nope, I have you covered. Here's what you should try. So thank you for that. And also quick shout out to Jane Kisnitsa. If I'm butchering your last name, I'm sorry. But a wonderful introduction point. So thank you for being open to this opportunity. And I'm grateful to connections that make this possible.
Amazing. Thank you, Jane. Love you loads.
And let's get started with your story around getting on camera. Now you make it look very easy and comfortable and natural, but was that always the case, or did you suddenly find along the way this fascination with video and then gain that skill?
It was absolutely not the case. I believe confidence is a muscle we train. I truly do not believe that anyone is born confident. It was tough. It was really tough. I was terrified of the camera to the point where I'd feel physically sick of being in front of it. So I was always behind it. The other part of it is obviously the public speaking part. I missed numerous lectures and seminars at university that involved me presenting in front of a group or even in front of one person. Almost failed my degree because of it.
Wow.
I just couldn't do it. I just could not do it. There was some sort of barrier. And I knew that if I was to start a business, which is what I'd always dreamt about, that I would have to overcome this fear. And thankfully, I've been able to do that through my own exercises and practices that I've made up, which I'm now helping as many people as physically possible to do the same.
And why did you always dream of starting a business?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's everyone's, well, a lot of people anyway, from a young age, like, I want to be a business owner. And I guess there's an egotistical element to it when you're younger of like, flash cars, big houses, money, etc. I've quickly realized that is absolutely not the goal. And that is absolutely not what happiness looks like for me. Yeah. However, I was quite entrepreneurial growing up. My mother was a photographer. She had her own business. And at the time, it was kind of unheard of to have that sort of business. So I was quite inspired by that. And I sold sweets at school. I sold sweets. I sold jewelry. I sold Dr. Dre headphones. I sold everything. So that, I think, was the start of it. And I guess I got a taste for it. And I've always wanted to do it. And I'm just super grateful that I am able to do that now.
Oh, shout out to your mom. She sounds amazing. I love that you had that
cool.
example. Okay, so you're mentioning, hey, here you are in school. And video is not the natural thing. You were like far from it. So what happened then? What was the breaking point? You mentioned this desire. I want to start a business. I realized this is an inflection point where I need to make this happen. But why was video the something that you decided is so essential? And how did you actually make it happen? There's two wide gap things right there.
Yeah, there was quite a big shift that happened for me, to be fair. So I was very much, I was a videographer to begin with. I love creating videos. Okay. And I'm sure we'll go into that in a second. But I think what happened was during lockdown, as for a lot of us, we had these revelations, we had these ideas, and we had these kind of epiphany moments. For me, the big one was continuing my videography part of the business, but also putting myself out there online. And I really struggled to articulate my message and what I wanted to say. So I thought, well, video just captures it as it is, right? It's raw, it's authentic, it's kind of whatever I want to say and however I say it will be taken however it's taken by the audience. So that was my kind of shift when I was like, I'm really struggling to write or create carousels or do any of the other stuff to get my message across. So I turned to video and I thought, well, rather than being behind it, I'm going to switch things up and step in front of it. And I haven't stopped since then.
Which we are very grateful for. Okay,
Thank
so
you.
then you started going out. What were some of the things you had to go through in your head? Because we talked about mental health, but I know that one of the things that I'm facing with content creation is like, who will care? It's not even about like, am I good enough to be on camera, right? Like, not to, because I'm pompous. I'm a mom. Like at this point in my game, I care a little bit less. But it's like, who will care? Will anybody be interested? Like those things are coming through my head. Like, what are the internal things that people maybe struggle with, or maybe you had to overcome to be better on this journey?
Yeah, I mean, for me and for the majority of people I've had the pleasure of working with and supporting, it's these limiting beliefs. It's these, what will my friends think? What will my employer think? Was something that I had to think about as well because I was still in a full-time job. Do I look stupid? Do people even care what I'm saying? All of these things are going around my head. And to be honest with you, they never truly leave, but it's how you manage them that I think is what changes. So for me, very much what will my friends think? That was like one of the biggest fears for me. And also, how can I talk about this? I'm not an expert. I don't have qualifications to talk about camera shyness or confidence or whatever. So what I did was this is crazy, and this is a super actionable part. So if anyone listening or watching has a piece of paper to hand, split that piece of paper in half. On one side of the piece of paper, I want you to write down all of the limiting beliefs that come into your head. So if I say to you, right, go and talk to the camera right now, all of those limiting beliefs that pop into your head, put them on the left-hand side of that piece of paper. And then on the right-hand side is where we focus on the reality of those limiting beliefs. I'll give you an example. So mine looks like this. On the left-hand side is what will my friends think? On the right-hand side is my friends are not my ideal clients. And if they are my ideal clients and are taking the mick out of me, I need to question my friendship. So again, I've completely shifted my mindset from what will my friends think? They'll think I'm an idiot to, well, if they think I'm an idiot and they're not supporting me, then I need to question that friend. So it takes it totally away. And I did that with every single limiting belief that came into my head. And the second thing off the back of that is at the bottom of that piece of paper, write down why you are filming the video that you're filming. I did that before every single video. Why am I putting this video out to the world? Why is it important that I record it? And, the answer was always because I want to support as many people as possible to overcome a challenge that I know so many people face that I've managed to overcome. And that's it. And that pushed me through.
Oh, I love that. You know what also helps me sometimes is that realization is that everybody has to start. So all the people that we look at, I mean, yes, sure, some people maybe have more of that ability than others from the start. But most people who are really good at something, including you, had to start somewhere. With all the fumbles, every time I submit, I'm like, that's the end of my video that doesn't go out. It's like, I don't know if that's a common human reaction, but everybody has those moments where they take a blooper, it doesn't go well, and they keep at it, and that's how you get better. So my mindset sometimes is like, yes, this is not perfect, but I'm gonna do it. And if you look at, if you go to Harrison's LinkedIn, I like that it says like "F it." Is it?
Yeah, I have a bit of a potty mouth.
I love it. I love it. And you can swear on this podcast. It's totally, but it's that element that you have to just do it to get better. And that reminder sometimes, like that anybody who I see who's my idol, who's doing something amazing, had to start. And if we don't even start, then really that in itself is worse than doing it poorly sometimes and getting better along the way.
Yeah, and guess what? I started behind the scenes, behind closed doors. No one knew that I was filming a lot of these videos, and some of the videos that I filmed never went out. And it was more of a repetition piece for me. and it's, compare it to going to the gym. You go to the gym, you lift weights on the first session, you don't get instant results. You don't look different.
Darn it.
Obviously, yeah, I know. That's yeah, I gave up after the first session. But no, in all seriousness, it's about repetition. And who says that the first video you record has to go out to the world? No one. I was doing it behind closed doors in lockdown when there wasn't really much else to do. And actually, interestingly, based on your point there about kind of making mistakes and the bit of like the moment, well, for me, the first ever blooper reel that I put out on my Instagram was one of the most pivotal videos for this business, because it was like, oh, he makes mistakes, he messes up all the time. And then I then kind of collaborated with other creators who also mess up all the time, and it was this kind of like, look, everyone messes up, keep messing up, it's great.
Yeah,
So that was a pivotal moment for me.
It makes me think of baseball, American baseball. I don't know how global that is, but the people that are most successful are the ones who strike out the most, statistically, right? They take the chance, and yes, you can look at it in both ways, like, oh, they striked out the most, or they're more likely to become more successful because they took that chance. So there's definitely a balance, but I think about that too. Is like, you can't get better without trying.
100%.
And on the point of trying, I would love to hear also about how, not just your story, but it's helping your clients, if you're open to sharing. Like, what are some of the biggest changes you've seen of somebody taking this effort, starting somewhere, trying, like what transformative power does this journey have for some of your clients?
Yeah, so let's look at it from both perspectives, because I think one of the big talking points around video is when there's no return on investment. You put a video out, it doesn't equate to a certain amount of money. So here's two examples. One of my amazing clients, one of the first clients actually that I had on a one-to-one basis, he made £36,000 within 6 days of putting out video content. And the only platform he was on was the platform that we were putting videos out. So there was no other way that this was happening other than the videos he was putting out.
Right.
He's continued now to scale and scale and scale. So for him, it was obviously massively monetary. The return on investment was there instantly. And that's amazing. And that just shows the power of video. And that's not something that a lot of people experience. And certainly they are seriously quick results. But it just gives an idea and an understanding of how powerful this is. The other side of it, which is my favorite part, is when people have personal transformations, especially with confidence. One client who I'm still working with at the moment, she couldn't even look herself in the mirror. And, from hearing that to then thinking, well, I'm trying to get her to put video content out to the world. It's a huge step. And we've done it. We've absolutely done it. And she is consistently posting, and she's consistently bringing in leads because of it, which is amazing. But what a transformation, and that's a totally personal transformation, and this is what people don't understand about video. It's not just a business tool. By being confident on camera, there are so many different benefits. And one of them is improving your personal life. I am a much more social and confidently social person because of this, because of what we're doing here today. That's it. It's a practice, and it's helped me to be less socially anxious. But yeah, for her, amazing transformation, and I'm super proud of her. And I'm also super proud of the other one for the crazy wins that he had in the early stages. So it just shows both ends of the spectrum, which I think is why video is so powerful.
I love consistently, I see in all your posts you shouting out your clients, which is just beautiful. It's just a testament that this journey really is about helping others, find themselves. And again, a lot of times you spotlight about their transformation, not just being monetary, but really the personal. So thank you for doing that to inspire others. And it was interesting, you mentioned about that ROI on video. Sometimes it's not as drastic as you immediately see, money coming into your bank. But I'm looking at Alex Hormozi's podcast right now, and he has amazing books on entrepreneurship. If you haven't heard about him and you're into entrepreneurship, please check him out. Not that I know him, but I'm inspired by him. But he talks about how for years he didn't invest in social media because he was thinking, well, I post something, it's gone in hours, like who cares? But then he was saying that the point isn't about the content being evergreen all the time, but it's about the audience you get is going to be growing and consistently there. So I thought that was very interesting. If you change your mindset, like, oh, this one piece has to perform and be like the best thing ever, to I'm doing this to grow my audience. And that is in itself is the kind of the focus, and I'm giving them something meaningful. that shifted my mindset around some of the things I do and like how to look at it.
100%. I mean, he's incredible, and he's been a massive inspiration for me.
Mm,
And I think, with video and with content in general, you're
mm,
paying it forward. It's this compounding effect. The more you put out, the more consistent you are, you're paying it forward. In 6 months down the line, it then starts to work. And I think people are so fixated on that one post, that viral post. They want to get that. And actually, I've had a couple of viral posts, right? Great. Woohoo. Probably one of the worst things that happened to my social media, because
Wow.
instantly you're attracting people that are 80%, 90% of them are not your ideal client. And also, you're then putting some subconscious pressure on yourself to then outperform that every single time. It's just not sustainable. And I don't think it's healthy. So my advice for anyone listening that's kind of maybe not seeing the return on investment that they would have hoped for right now from content: consistency. All of the successful creators that you and I follow and are taking inspiration from have been working on this behind the scenes and grinding and grafting and hustling for so long before it happens. And it will happen. If you're consistent, it will happen.
Can I be vulnerable with you? I don't know if you saw my story yesterday on Instagram, but on a call with my friend, as we're talking about social media strategy, I was almost tearing up because, like, oh, I wish things were faster. I wish I was seeing more, but we were putting in a solid foundation. And not to say that it's perfect, we're still learning, adapting, but I definitely felt that frustration. So I just want to acknowledge that it's not easy. So when we talk about staying course and being patient, it's hard for me. And I have those moments that are very emotional because I'm learning as an entrepreneur, everything you do feels a little bit more personal because you're putting out a part of you into the world. And what you're creating isn't just, for somebody else. It's really, your baby. I'm a mom of three. It's a new baby that you're putting out. So it does feel to me more emotional. So yes, 100%. I keep reminding myself to be patient because I nowhere like I nowhere near the experience I want to be at, and it's an effort. But I can also acknowledge the frustration and emotions that go behind it, and that's okay too.
It's tough. It is tough. And some of my favorite creators that I followed when I first started back in kind of 2018 to 2020,
Mm,
they're not posting anymore. And they were the people that inspired me to post. But
mm,
unfortunately, as you know, the nature of what we're doing, and as Alex Hormozy would say, the nature of the game
yeah,
is that it's tough. And I think this is why it's so important that you find a way of enjoying the process of doing
yeah.
what we're doing. So I found a strategy that allows me to post twice a day, 5 days a week on LinkedIn. That
Ooh,
a year ago, that a year ago would have scared the life out of me, and that would have burnt me out straight away.
right.
What I now do is I love it. I absolutely love it, and I couldn't imagine changing that. It's taken me a while to get that strategy, but what I would say again, based on your point there, is that anyone that is thinking, "Oh, this just isn't working," it is working. It is working, and it's that consistency and enjoying the process. Because look, passion speaks volumes, right? When I
Yeah.
started, I made zero money. I probably lost money, but passion kept me going. And if the passion is there and you can do it without the money, then you're on to a winner.
Yeah. And can you, so you mentioned the strategy a little bit. Can you share a little bit what the strategy is, if you're okay sharing that? Or maybe what were the steps getting to a place where you went from, I'm not sure if this is possible, would burn me out, to like, I'm loving this. This is great.
Yeah, it was exactly like that. It was literally like, I hate this. Why am I doing this? To now, I literally love it. Okay, so the first thing is social media, in my opinion, is one big experiment. No one
Mm,
really knows what post is going to land, what post is going to flop, etc. So it's
right.
one big experiment, and that's what I love about it. I can just chuck something out, and it's not polished and it's raw and whatever, and it may work, it may not, but I learn from every single post. So I had to kind of get my head around that idea that every post is an experiment.
Yeah.
And the more kind of ingredients you add into that big experiment, the better it is. Um, the strategy I have now, it takes an hour a week. It's absolutely doable for anyone,
Right.
whether they've got 3 or 4 jobs, 3 or 4 kids, 3 or 4 cats, doesn't matter. An hour a week is all you need.
Yeah.
And what I do is throughout the week, I have kind of a storage system, which is going to be a game changer for anyone that hasn't heard this before. If you use WhatsApp, which I know probably
Cool.
99.9% of people listening and watching will use,
Yeah.
what you want to do is add your best friend to a group chat on WhatsApp. So it's you two.
Yeah.
and then kick him or her out of the group chat instantly. And then you're in a group chat with yourself. You
Okay.
pin that chat to the top of your WhatsApp. You literally swipe across and pin it. And that
Okay.
now is your idea storing place.
Okay.
Every single time I think of an idea, I voice note it in there, I chuck it in there. Obviously, message your friend and say, sorry about kicking you out, but this is why I did it.
It's
But
over between us.
it's over. Yeah, you're in and now you're out. That's my storage system. Then
Okay.
what happens is throughout the week, I'm collating and collecting all of these ideas. And the more, and I'll talk about where these ideas come from in a second,
Mm.
the more I have, the better. And then what happens on a Monday, I book out 1 hour and I film as many of those ideas as possible. Some Mondays I could film 30 videos in that hour. Other ones I could literally film 3 or 4. There's no
Right.
pressure. I just want to film as many as I can based on how I'm feeling and the energy I've got that day, whatever, and how many coffees
Right.
I've had. Now, in terms of the idea generation thing, because I think this is going to be useful for anyone listening, I know full well what it's like to sit there and think, God, what can I post today? We've all been there, right? We have all been there. We look at other people's posts and we go, God, how did they come up with that idea?
Mm.
We are content creation machines. We are surrounded by content. However, if you're sat in an office 9 to 5 every day with your headphones on, working away, there's not a lot of inspiration going on. So I had to really switch things up. So rather than sitting where I am now 5 days a week, I base myself at a coffee shop for a couple of days. I go and work with a friend for a couple of days. I'll go for a walk. I'll do things that are kind of breaking out of this mundane, boring routine that we all kind of live in occasionally. And what that does is creates inspiration for me. Which is where the ideas come from. It could be speaking to someone in the Costa queue waiting for a coffee. That could give me an idea, and that is a real life example. And one thing I heard on a podcast yesterday, which is hot off the press, which has been a game changer, is every time you exercise or do anything, let's say you're in the queue at the doctor's or you're on a treadmill, you are always grabbing your phone to fill that boredom, right? So headphones are going in on the treadmill because it makes life easier. Try going on a treadmill without headphones. See how long you run for, because it won't be very long, because your brain goes, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Now, if you're in the queue at the doctor's, you grab your phone and you scroll through social media. I challenge anyone, and I did this morning. I did a cheeky little 5K walk this morning, and I did not wear headphones. It is incredible just being alone in your thoughts. How many times a day or a week can we confidently say that we're alone in our thoughts? We're not. We're always scrolling or doing stuff. Just stop, no headphones, no distractions. Enjoy the crazy thoughts that enter your mind. And actually, that's where the best ideas come from.
You know, on that topic, I think not just for content creation, I think it's so good for your sanity. We were just in Bend, Oregon for a family vacation, and I was thinking, like I mentioned to you before the call, I was struggling a little bit with like just how much is going on, like the entrepreneurship journey. And so I finally pulled out the book. I think it's called The Catastrophe Living by John Kabat-Zinn. I'm sorry if I'm butchering his last name, but it's about mindfulness. And I think just beyond the point of it being good for content creation, we need to sometimes realize how much energy we're spending living in the future, especially when we're entrepreneurs. And I had to be like, okay, this is really not serving me. Like one of the things I'm reflecting on is all the habits that now I have no excuses to blame it on employer. It's all me. And so one of the things I was like, I'm worrying so much about what's going to happen in the future and like, is this going to pan out? All this stuff. And so sometimes just coming back to the moment is not only good to think about content creation, not get distracted and use that energy elsewhere, but it's also good for your mental health, where you're just coming like, here, what's happening right now? Let's not focus on tomorrow, because we're only honestly living just right now, and take some of that energy back into what we want to happen instead of the worries and things like that. So for anybody, that will help with your content creation. You know, think about where your energy goes, where your time goes, where your focus goes, not just for content creation, but also for mental health.
100%. The energy, I can't stress that enough. Like, what an amazing point about the energy side of it, because that's something that I've really had to be more aware of over the last 6 months to prevent myself from burning out. Is right, where am I spending my energy? Not just time, where am I spending my energy? Because I could spend an hour's worth of energy in 5 minutes, technically, right? So it's really important that I identify, right, when is my energy at its best, and when it is, I can do those creative tasks. When it's not, I'm not going to. I'm going to go do something else. And it's really, really paying attention to where your energy levels are at. So important.
100%. You know what I just started doing, similar to your point. So I do have those three boys, right? I do have the thing, and I can make an excuse about it, like, and I was partially in my head, but I decided one thing where I was going against my values. That was a conversation actually that came from another podcast recently here, was I wanted this creative journey to be where I'm creating in the energy flow that feels productive, like where I'm feeling good and I'm creating content in that flow, and not just like, okay, LinkedIn wants me to post today at 9 a.m. So I should really make a post at 9 a.m. between all the craziness. And I was trying to do that for weeks, and I was like, oh, this is really not working. And then to your point, I realized that, you know what? On Sunday, I'm going to kick out the boys in the most loving way. And I'm going to book that hour to create content, where it's quiet in the house. And it just takes that. I am grateful to have the support. So I realize not everybody has that. But that realization where I was going against my values, and hence spending more energy on something that could be done a lot easier and more fruitfully, was a game changer for me. And that, so changing that strategy, like what is not serving you, like going against your values, that's probably draining you more, and how can you still do what you feel like is necessary, but in a way that is more fruitful.
Yeah, and really looking ahead in your diary as well. What have you got in for next week that doesn't need to be in there or isn't a good use of your time or energy? Get rid of it. If you've got to come up with an excuse, you've got to come up with an excuse, but just get rid of it. And I am so strict now with what I do and what I spend my time on, and I have to be, because otherwise it's so easy to just be a yes man or woman, right? It's just like, yep, I'll do that. Yep, I'll do that because it's in a couple of weeks' time. It's not healthy.
You know what forced me to actually, I'm very much the same. Like I want to say yes. And I look at my calendar now, and sometimes I'm realizing it's not serving me as much as I should be. So I'm actually working on thinking about how to cut things back, like being more strict with my calendar. But I realized, like, yes, I heard like, oh, just, empower yourself, make time for yourself, all the things that I heard that. And it was like from one ear out the other. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't resonate with me. And then somebody was saying, well, how are you showing up to those things
Yeah.
if you have all the things booked up? And that is what actually struck a chord with me, that if I'm trying to do something and I'm trying to accomplish something and make it worthwhile for other people, then I'm probably showing up worse
Yeah.
and distancing myself from the goals if I am overcommitting and not creating something as best as it could be if I had more intentional time for it.
That's a really, really good point. It's just about being aware, being more
Yeah.
self-aware, isn't it? And just being more strict with yourself. And as a business
Yeah.
owner, and you know this full well, that you don't have to ask to book off holiday. You don't have to. You are in full control, and that is difficult at times. But it's so important that personal stuff goes in the diary before business stuff, right? So every single week or the end of the week, I look at my diary for next week and I ensure that all my personal stuff is in there first, whether it's exercise, playing with my daughter, going on holiday, whatever it is. Put that in first, because otherwise people will take that time slot away from you. It's non-negotiable. Put it in the diary.
And we, in the intro, I mentioned also that you're a big advocate for mental health, and I feel like we've been just touching on that subject naturally here in discussion. So I wanted to throw in, why is that topic something so important to you, and is there anything that you want to share around that, for maybe tips and things that help you on your journey around that?
I think acceptance was the biggest and best thing I ever did. I went so many years through university. I mean, university were actually three of the best years of my life, but three of the worst at the same time, because it's very lonely and you kind of got to fend for yourself. So accepting that I was struggling was the first step. Reaching out to partner, family, professionals, etc. And more recently, I've just come off of all of the antidepressants I was on for 8 years, which is a long time, which is amazing. It's definitely not been smooth sailing, let me tell you that. But of course, when you rely on something for so long, to then get all of these emotions back in the system and having to deal with them, it's literally like being a child and having to deal with all of those emotions that you've never experienced before. Well, that's what it feels like. So I'm a huge advocate of it. Also because I am, in my content, I'm full of energy. I try and give as much as I can. I'm also very, very transparent and do show the other side of the business as well. So I'm never hiding away from that. And that's why I'm now more than ever a mental health advocate. And I want to do whatever I can to support people, because I know what it's like. I've been at the lowest of lows. I've experienced things that a lot of people would be very surprised to hear. So for me, it's a massive part of it's a massive part of me. And I now have accepted that I have these things that happen in my mind, and how I deal with them is up to me, but they're there. They don't go, they are managed, sometimes better than others, but it's important not to think that, you're not looking for a cure, you're looking for a management system, you're looking for a way to kind of enjoy your life and actually use it to your advantage as well. Anxiety is one of them. I often feel anxious about certain things. I've got this massive public speaking gig coming up in London, my first ever one in November. Terrified, right? But I'm going to turn that anxiety into excitement, because I think that's what it is, right? There's an element of anxiety that is excitement. It's the unknown. It's something new.
Right.
So I think there are ways of using it to your advantage. But I think the first thing, Anya, is just accepting that you are struggling. And I know it sounds cliche, but speaking about it is the best thing that I ever did. And it was something that I put off for so long. And looking back, I wish I never had, because it had to get to the worst of the worst before I sought help. It shouldn't have got to that stage.
Harrison, I appreciate you showing up as a human, like a real human, which, I've known this since our prep call and just seeing the content, but I appreciate you sharing that, because I think so often we show in our content just like the best things, the highlights of our life. And, that's all good too for motivation, inspiration, but also there's just a personal side to everybody, and everybody has their good moments and their low moments. And I think it's important to be genuine and be authentic throughout this experience so people can relate to that more. If they're struggling, they have a sense of hope, like, hey, look at Harrison, like, it's not going to be perfect, but it gives me a sense that it's possible. And how can I also maybe find myself in that journey wherever I'm at?
Yeah, and just being strict with other people as well, just look, my energy isn't there today, so I'm going to have to move our call to next week. Really sorry, that's it, and I'm just really aware of it. And I know that now, coming off of the medication, it's really important for me to do all of the right things to make sure that I don't slip back into where I was. And two of the main things, which again sounds cliche, but exercise and healthy eating. Massively important, something I've never really focused that much attention on because I'm a massive foodie. But it pays dividends, it pays, and it just is so important. And as I said, I went for a walk this morning. I now go for a walk every morning before work, and it just has been a game changer. It just, no matter how tired you feel, like just dragging yourself out and getting out in the fresh, like it just does crazy things for your mind, and it's all positive.
Absolutely. I think that early on in life, like before my 30s, I was like, the physical part was all like vanity. Like, how can I post for Instagram at this angle?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, I'm actually sore all the time, or my back hurts. And you're like, okay, actually, this is something that's very foundational for everything else. Like, what if I look at it not like I need to get to a certain size or a certain weight, but like this is the foundation of how my brain functions every day. What I eat. And yes, like I've had fries on vacation, all the good stuff, and you love pizza, so we both can relate to that. But it's like, how do you want to feel every day for the most part, right? There's a balance to it. So it's a very important foundation. I'm just so proud of you. Not that matters, not that that's a motivation, but I'm proud of you. Like,
is.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It absolutely is, and I think as well, you and I are very fortunate to have a really nice community supporting us, and that's been the best thing. And I mean, I just don't shy away from it. I couldn't pretend to be someone I'm not, and that's something I've never been able to do. So I am what I am on and off social media, and that's it. And sometimes that comes to bite me in the backside, and I say things I shouldn't. But it is what it is. We're all ourselves, and I think it's about the best thing that anyone can do is be unapologetically themselves, because it is so energy zapping trying to be someone else. Because I tried it for years, on and offline. I wanted to be like the most successful creators, so I copied what they were doing. What a load of rubbish. What a load of rubbish. Just embrace who you are, show up as yourself, whether you're sad, whether you're happy, doesn't matter. Show up consistently. And I guess social media, from a business owner perspective, it's kind of like a digital diary.
Yeah.
And it's super important.
I heard from a friend sometimes, like, oh, that looks really good. Like, from other people who I admire. But sometimes you have to realize, like, those people earn their spot. and people who are commenting are not just commenting on like the type of the content, they're commenting on that persona, on that relationship they have and the belief they have in that. So sometimes if you just focus on replicating, yes, sometimes it may work, but a lot of times it may not. Like their content may not be groundbreaking. It's just that they've earned that spot, that reputation or whatnot, so that they can post in their own style. People resonate with you that way, but it may not work for you. So find your own style, what works for you, and kind of earn your own spot in your own right. That's the only way it's going to work.
And also, everyone's winging it. No one has everything worked out. No matter how they look, no matter how shiny and excellent they look on social media, they're not. They are, and that's great. It's all part of it. We're all winging it. We're all kind of taking it day by day, which is a great point that you made as well. And I think that's the most important thing to think, because the future's not guaranteed, right? So we've just got to focus on the now and enjoy it. And I think the biggest shift and the biggest change that I've made within my business recently is doing more of the stuff I want to do and doing less of the stuff I don't want to do, regardless of how that affects revenue. Like, I just don't care. I just want to be happy. So for me, it's all about that balance between doing what I want. Obviously, I have to make money to pay bills, of course, but I'm definitely not like working towards multi-billion-dollar business. Like, it's not interesting to me. It just is more important that I just have the freedom, time, and location, and spend time doing stuff I want to do.
Yeah. And touching on that, we didn't touch on this earlier. How did you actually start the business? So here, yes, you had videography skills, and then you decided, hey, I'm going to get in front of it. But it takes steps to say, hey, I'm actually going to do it. And you said you had a job too before that. So how did you transition to be fully an entrepreneur? And what were maybe some of the learnings you want to share around that?
Yeah, so it was, again, going back to kind of lockdown time, I realized that a lot of businesses were unable to open. So let's take restaurants, for example. That's where I started. So I'd contact restaurants and say, look, I know you're open for delivery, but you're not open for people to come and sit in.
Yeah.
And the only way of communicating that message effectively is through social media.
Yeah.
So can I help you with that? And that's kind of how it started. So supporting those local businesses. Yeah. Supporting the local businesses. And then again, the camera shyness piece, I was like, actually, I'm feeling more confident on camera now, and sharing those exercises and processes. And then a couple of business owners and a couple of people that I was inspired by reached out to me and said, look, I'm really scared of being on camera. Can you help? And that's when I realized, actually, there's a business here. This is like using my own experience and my own solutions, if you like, to help other people. And as I said, it hasn't stopped since then. There's been a couple of other bits and bobs. I help people with editing videos and implementing strategy and stuff. But the bulk of it is helping people to feel more comfortable in the presence of the camera, to grow their business and improve their life as well. Like that's what I do. And that's what I've been doing since then.
And slight detour. I think you mentioned that you love pizza so much that you've accepted payment for the form pizza. Is that how it happened? Like through this restaurant support?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, through the restaurant, I've also had a client a couple of years ago sent me like 4 pizzas to my door, which I thought was incredible. I definitely have accepted pizza as payment. Pizza is everywhere. Pizza's behind me right now. There's a pizza mat over there that's like 2 meters big. Yeah, pizza is life.
Okay, can I ask a provocative question on the subject?
Oof, go on then.
Okay, pineapple or no pineapple? What's our stance on pineapple? I think that's like the...
So I think it's inhumane and unethical to put pineapple on pizza, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'll tell you why. By the way, I'm not just any pizza guy. I am the pizza guy. Right, this stuff is...
Okay, you're tattooed. He's showing the tattoo on him. If you don't...
I am inked. I have a pizza slice on my wrist. Now, the reason is...
Okay.
It's literally, pineapple is pretty much all water, right? It's literally like running a slice of pizza under the tap. Like, it doesn't make any sense, and it also doesn't taste good. So whoever's putting pineapple on pizza, stop it.
It's okay.
I'm banning it. I'm going around to all the supermarkets and I'm removing pineapple. I'm the pineapple killer. I just don't do it. Don't do it.
This is an example where we can have very serious disagreements on some of our views and still come together for a purpose. Let this be an example for others.
Yeah. It's a touchy subject, but I'm glad we've kind of got it off our chest.
Yes, we can still be friends. We'll work through it. We'll work through this offline to get the issues resolved, but we'll work through it. Speaking though, coming back online to helping your your clients, helping yourself. Can you share a couple of strategies maybe that we haven't noted? I know I have this little sticky note of the limiting beliefs and reality and like, what am I doing this for? But any other exercises that you feel free you can share with others?
Yeah, sure. So the JHR method, which is the just hit record method, is probably my first strategy, if you like, or first actionable
Okay.
exercise that I came up with. It's super simple. There's a massive psychological element to it, and I love psychology. So
Ooh.
it's the just hit record method, and what it means is rather than when you're filming, rather than pressing stop and start every time you mess up and whatever, you just walk in the room, you hit record, and you leave that rolling until you're confident you've said everything you need to. So you've just got one long clip, whether it's 10 minutes, 10 hours, doesn't matter, rather than having 121 little individual clips. Now, the reason being is because every time you press stop when you mess up, you're telling your mind that you've messed up. So that big red button becomes a kind of, I've messed up button. I've messed up. Now I'm going to start again. Now I'm going to start again. It's very difficult to restart it, to restart the engines and get back in the zone. If you're doing an activity on your laptop and then you go and do something else and then come back to it, it's very difficult to multitask and split your attention. So that's the thought process behind it. Also, it's a lot easier to edit. You know, it's just literally taking out the bits where you did mess up and then you've got one clip. It's just so much easier. But the psychological part of it is the most important. And I do that today. I've done it for years and years and years. I get all my clients to do the same. So the just hit record method has been a game changer for me.
You're awesome. I'm thinking about this episode for our audience, like so much to take away. The WhatsApp part, this part, like the psychological part, like, whoa, I'm really excited. So one other topic that I'm honestly not doing a great job on, and it's top of mind for me, is creating value for listeners. I'm realizing that going to this journey, I've been too preoccupied, like, what's in it for me? You know, like I want to get XYZ, I want to grow my audience. And transparently, I want to do a better job of with my content sharing something that's creating value. And I do feel a little hesitant because I am starting out. So I'm like, oh, what can I share? But that's my own limiting belief, right? But how do you how do you personally think about creating value in your content, and how do you help your clients also focus on that if that's a focus?
Yeah. So to begin with, it was really difficult. I was like, what is valuable? You know, and everyone chucks around this value thing. And I'm like, do I have enough to talk about? Is it of interest? Can it help anyone? So what I began doing, and I still do it today, and what I help all my clients with is moving from a showcasing model to a documenting model. So rather than I'm the best, I'm the video expert, do this, do that. If you want to overcome camera shyness, do this right now. I moved away from that and I went to more of I overcame camera shyness. Here's how I did it. Here are 3 ways that helped me to feel more confident in front of the camera. So rather than rather than showing off, if you like, and kind of showboating, I'm talking about what I'm actually doing right now. If it helps someone, great. If it doesn't, no problem. You know, and what then happens is the people that need your support will then gravitate towards you, and those that don't won't. But the point is focusing really on this documentation model. Another thing that Alex Hormozy talks about all the time, he's documenting his journey through business because Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, all of them didn't, right? He talks about all the time. I'm doing exactly the same, and I would urge anyone listening to do exactly the same, because you've got content that is resonating with people. You've got content that is talking about your personal journey to help other people. It may or may not help them. And then the other part of it is that look back in a year's time and look at how far you've come, because I don't think we do that enough. We don't reflect enough, do we? We constantly forward, 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 stop, look back at your videos a year ago, notice the difference, work out what you love about them now, what you loved about them then, and make sure that you continue.
And question on that, sometimes I wonder, like, is it too not that honestly maybe it's not really a problem, but it's in my head sometimes, like, can you be posting too much? Like sometimes you create a couple of videos, like, oh, can I post 2 a day? Like what is that balance of creating enough content and posting enough and not feeling like you're overwhelming your audience? Like I worry about, like, is this just too much? Like, can I put in 3 posts a day here, like on all platforms? Like, is that overwhelming for my audience? Have you have any tips around that, like to create content and feel like, hey, this is enough, or this is the right level of engagement to have in a day, in a week?
Yeah, I think you've got to think about it from a selfish perspective to begin with, right? Is actually what is sustainable for you. The way I talk to my clients is, look, can you continue the way you're going right now with your content consistency for the next 6 months? If the answer is yes, great, that's your sweet spot. If the answer is no, then you need to reduce the amount you're posting because it's not sustainable. There's no point in posting 7 times a day for 7 weeks and then not posting for a month. You speak to someone like Gary Vee, he'll tell you to post 280 things on TikTok every single day. I disagree with that. Again, because my goal is not to go viral, whereas I think that's a very kind of let's go viral model. For me, it's the what can I actually do every day. So as I said to you a few minutes ago, like the sweet spot for me is twice a day on LinkedIn, 5 days a week. That's my sweet spot. I can sustain that for the next few years, and I'm confident in that. So it's about identifying what is actually sustainable rather than, obviously everything's about your audience. That's great, but you're not going to be able to serve your audience in 7 weeks' time if you burn out within that 7 weeks, right?
Right. The one thing that I'm more focused on is like having too much. Sometimes you like, I mean, you have a day and you're like, oh, is it too much to post? Like I've heard some people say like just post once on LinkedIn because the algorithm will downgrade your second post. Or maybe I'm posting on different social platforms and I wear like, is that too much? Like where people are seeing maybe like a similar story on different platforms. Like that's more of my concern. And then I have a follow-up question.
So I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, to be honest. I guess the only way of finding out is asking the audience, how many times do you want to see my content every day? Whether they see it or not is another story. As we know, the algorithm just makes it up as it goes along. I don't think there is actually a right or wrong answer. I don't even think Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook could give you the answer. I don't think there is this is too much because, again, people log on at different times. People consume in different ways. I repurpose a lot of my content. So some of my videos will end up as carousels or image posts or whatever. I think it's more about just driving the same message home with 100% passion and, actionable advice as much as you can sustain yourself.
Beautiful. And one other thing that I struggle with sometimes is like, am I focusing on too broad of things? So sometimes I'm thinking like how to create mommy hack videos, like, what helps me to have sanity during the day. And part of it is like, how do you do the podcast? And part of it is like networking and kind of getting your voice out there. And I worry they might be too broad. Like I love that some people have a very specific focus so the audience knows when they're going in that they're going to find XYZ content, which is brilliant. But I struggle with having maybe too broad some of the times interests. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a really good point because I don't have a specific strategy for that. I mean, I have my pillars, if you like. I have the topics that I talk about. So I guess it's weighing up the two sides of it. It's weighing up what you actually enjoy creating and talking about. Because again, if you enjoy talking about it, the passion's there. So if you enjoy like the mom hacks, the cool mom hacks, whatever you want to call them, right? Then
semi-cool.
It's how I was like mom, because obviously we say mummy. But anyway, I don't say that. I would focus firstly on, right, what do I actually enjoy creating and talking about? Because then the passion is going to come through. So that's going to work. Then the other side of it is what are the pain points and challenges that my ideal clients are facing, and do the two marry up? If they don't, it's not the end of the world, but ideally you want to be talking about stuff that your ideal clients can relate to. So in your example, if you were doing the kind of the mum stuff, great, because that does feed across nicely. I mean, you are a mum, you are a business owner, and then you can relate it to the business and how that works, of course. So again, what do you enjoy and what are your clients experiencing in terms of challenges, and do the two relate?
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. I feel like I'm having a little coaching session for myself.
But yeah, definitely the mum hacks. That's gonna work all day long.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for it. Like you said, it's an experiment, so we have to test things out. And to be very honest, I haven't created those yet. So in my head, I'm worrying about something which I haven't even tried.
Yeah, which is what we all do. It's what we all do.
Gotta just get on it and see what happens. One other thing that you talk about, if we can just wrap up with it, is the excuses you make about like not having editing skills or having the equipment. What would you say to somebody who's like, I just don't know, like I don't have that, amazing camera, I don't have editing skills. Like, how do you bypass those common excuses?
The first thing you do is put your bank card away, because there is no money that needs to be spent. All you need are three things: the smartphone that's never more than 3 feet away from you, the window that is in your house or in your workplace somewhere. We all have one. If you don't, you're lying. And the third thing is your message. what do you believe in? What are you passionate about? We can spend thousands and thousands of pounds on equipment. I have 2 DSLR cameras that I've used for years that are sat in the office all day, every day. I film all of my content on my phone. Simple as that. It's easy, it's accessible, off it goes to the world.
Yeah.
When it comes to the editing, just to answer that one, www.capcut.com. It's free to use. It will auto caption your videos. It's pretty user friendly. If you try it and think this is horrendous, then contact me. I'll edit your videos for you with my team. But realistically, people are overcomplicating it. And plus, a side note, if you are terrified of being in front of the camera, do you really think thousands of pounds or thousands of dollars worth of shiny equipment around you is going to make you feel any more at ease? Because I'm telling you now, I've tried it and it is not. It's like someone coming up to you in the street with a big camera and a microphone going, speak. It is terrifying. So stick with what you're comfortable with. Stick with the thing that's always near you.
Amazing. I love it. And one thing I want to wrap up with is who is like your ideal client? Like who would benefit from working with you and your team?
I don't want to say everyone because it kind of is true. It kind of isn't. But I'd say anyone that owns a business that is looking to scale that business and put more content out to the world and just can't quite find that sweet spot. Or someone that is actually sat there thinking, you know what? I just want to be more confident. I want to be more confident. I want to get myself out there and push myself to the limit. And I want to meet new people and connect with new people. Either one of those two people, send me a message. I would absolutely love to support you.
And where should people find you? Of course, I'll put the links in the description.
So LinkedIn and Instagram. Instagram, I am Harrison Cantel. LinkedIn is just Harrison Cantel. I'm very active on both of them. And please send me a message if you've listened to this and we can have a chat about any of the things I've gone through and fire any questions away. I'm here for it. My DMs are open 24/7.
Oh, Harrison, you're amazing. And thank you so much for being so generous of your time. Was there anything that I missed that you wanted to share with the world before we wrap up?
I just think you're incredible and what you're doing is incredible. And every single person that is listening or watching needs to invest more time and clicks on subscribes and likes and comments and everything, because this is a platform that is allowing people like me, which I'm super grateful for, and other creators and business owners to speak. And it's such an important thing you're doing. And I know that there's a lot of hard work that goes into it. So appreciate you. And I know that everyone else feels the same.
Oh, you're amazing. I appreciate you as well. Like this just would be like I'll record that part and play for myself at the end of the day. At the beginning and end of the day. So thank you. Okay, here at Right Off Track, we wrap up with 3 rapid fire questions. And then we'll let you go.
Let's do it.
Okay. First one. Favorite pizza topping?
Meat. All the meat.
Of course. Favorite quote you live by?
If you believe it, you can achieve it.
Okay. Last but not least, in the positive context, going off track is?
Doing what you believe in, regardless of every opinion that is against you or every limiting belief or every barrier, smashing through it and keep doing what you're doing and being a driving force for your message and your beliefs.
I love how that just came out of you. It's like
I don't know where that came from, but it's there.
It's amazing. Well, thank you, Harrison. You're amazing. And to our audience, I so appreciate you investing in yourself by taking time to listen to this. I also appreciate you supporting our mission of inspiring people to live with purpose and embrace their unique path. And on that note, one of our elements of purpose of the podcast is supporting a nonprofit called Ready to Empower. Right now, they are raising an amazing $50,000, all of which goes to operations for empowering women around the world. So if you want to support an amazing cause with a purpose, I would so appreciate you taking the time to look at our description and support them by end of December 8th. And again, thank you to everybody for listening and thank you for coming right off track. And we look forward to having you on our next adventure. And Harrison, thank you again. You're amazing. I appreciate your time today.
Much.